Okay, let's go ahead and get started. For this project, I'm actually going to be using leftovers from that hat we did not too long ago. The Caron Chunky Cakes. This is a super bulky yarn, size 6. And I'm just going to be using remnants, but if you wanted to buy one of these to start fresh, let's see, let me give you the yardage. It's approximately 297 yards. Okay, I'm going to be using a set of knitting needles size 13 or 9.00 millimeters. And I'm going to be crocheting into rounds. And this is a fixed set. I cannot change the wire on this. It's way too long. It's approximately 40 inches long. I'm not going to need something that long. If you have something that's even, 16 inches long, that would be perfectly fine for what we're going to use today. But if you have a long one like me, I'll just show you how you can twist the wires and get by with this. It's not a big deal. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, to begin, I pulled off approximately 60 inches, I'm estimating, of the yarn so I can do my double tail cast on. Go ahead and make your loop for our slip knot. Okay, and go ahead and put this on the knitting needle, pull it to fit. And now to do the double cast on, I'm going to go a little slow again because I know this is something that's you don't do very much, so I'm going to go very carefully. Make sure you get your yarn hold, and this is with the yarn piece that's attached to your yarn supply, not to the part that we just pulled off, not the long tail. So go ahead and do that, and then remember we put this over your thumb, and then grab that extra loop as well. Okay, so for the cast on, we're going to cast on approximately 65 stitches. Now if you want your bag to be a little bit wider, you can add more stitches. If you want it narrower, you can do fewer, but I'm going to do 65 for this project. Go up under, and like that. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to do this until we have 65 loops. Now I did 4 cast-ons, but because of the slip knot, we actually have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So go ahead and do that until you have 65 loops. Okay, so once you get the needle situated here and all the stitches are even, make sure nothing is twisted, we're just going to simply begin by knitting each stitch. Okay, so go ahead and knit all the way around. So after completing those 65 knit stitches, you notice that we're still not connected. Well, we're going to go ahead and connect it from here on out. Just go ahead and put a little stitch marker if you'd like to mark the rows. It's not really necessary because in this particular pattern, this strand is going to really be the indicator of the beginning of new rows, because eventually we are actually going to be sewing a seam at the very bottom. This is actually a bag being worked from the bottom up. Okay, so it really doesn't matter if there's a little, bulge at the end here, because that's not going to be showing. All right, so let's go ahead and we will begin. We're just going to continue in the knit stitch, and as we do this stitch right here, it will be connected in a circle from this point onward. So we're going to just knit in the round until this bag is approximately 12 inches, and then I will show you what I have at that point. If you want to make your bag longer, you certainly can do that, but let's go ahead and get the first 12 inches and then we'll continue on. Okay, instead of doing 12 inches, I went ahead and knit until, just knitting in the round, until this measures a total of 16 inches. Now honestly, you can do this until the bag measures as large as you want it, or as long as you want it, up to the point where the drawstring will be inserted. Okay, now we're ready to begin the row with the buttonholes that will serve as the openings for the backpack straps and pull strings to go through. Okay, so first we're going to do is we're going to knit the first stitch. Now this is just a regular knit stitch. Now we're going to make a 2-stitch buttonhole. So we're going to knit the first one, and then we're going to bind off by bringing this, get the whole yarn there, bring that over there. That's one. And then we're going to do this again. And two. Okay, now we're just going to continue to knit the next 6 stitches. 1, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we're going to have a little space here, and we're going to come back and deal with that on the next round. Okay, so now that we've done 6 more stitches, actually you see 6 loops, this 7th stitch is going to be part of the bind off that we're going to do right now. So we're going to knit the next one, and then we're going to bind it off and do the next one the same way. Remember, you're just going to lift that stitch. I'm holding it with my nail a little bit. Here you go. And bind that off. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that again. I'm going to go ahead and reset my wire, which again is way too long. But I'm going to go ahead and do this so I don't have to do it in the middle of these next 6 stitches. Okay, so we've done our buttonhole. So now we're going to do 6 more just regular knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's pull some more stitches on here. I need 1 more to make 6. These are just spaces in between these buttonholes. Now we're going to knit the next one off in order to prepare to bind it off. We bind it off again by just pulling that over that stitch like so. And let's go ahead and knit the next one and pull it off just like that. Okay, so I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm going to do 6 more. I'll do 1 more for you. 1, 2, this is just straight knitting. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we're going to make a buttonhole by, we knit the stitch first, and then we pull, we bind off like so. You can see it's still a little bit of an awkward procedure for me. It's okay if you do it slowly. Okay, so go ahead and do that all the way around. And since we have 65 stitches on the loop or on your needles here, and we knit the first one, so that should give you 8 buttonholes, or at least little spaces for now. So go ahead and finish that round. Okay, after we finish that round, I went ahead and put my stitch marker on the other knitting needle. Now I'm going to wrap my thumb by pushing my thumb down on the yarn like this. Okay, and we're going to add, I've come to the buttonhole section, we're going to add 2 loops, or cast on 2 stitches. 1, 2, just like that. And then we're going to knit the next 6 stitches just like you normally would. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We come to the next hole. Remember, push your thumb down like that, and that's 1 stitch. Push your thumb down. Let me show you if I can back up a little bit, like that, and that's added 2 more stitches there. So you're going to do this all the way around, and what's going to happen is that's just adding in the stitches that we bound off, and it should make a nice little opening for those straps and drawstrings for this backpack once we finish it. I'll show you this one more time. We knit off those 6 stitches that are in between the holes. Okay, and it should be pretty clear when you get to this place. You'll see the nice hole there. And take your yarn, push down with your thumb, and that's 1 and 2. So go ahead and do that all the way around. Okay, that brings us to the last stitch of the round. I'm going to go ahead and knit off that stitch. I'm going to switch over my stitch marker, and now you see the 2 stitches that we added on in the last round right here. So you're just going to go ahead and knit those like you normally would. Okay, 1, whoops, 2, and then knit the next 6. I mean, just go ahead and you're just going to be knitting in the round at this point. Okay, I just wanted to stop and show you. So now you can see the hole. Now this is gonna tighten up a little bit with the yarn here, but let me go ahead and do another one and show you. That was actually the beginning of that round, so let's see how the next one looks. And these are going to be pretty close together once the bag is finished, because this is going to be where the bag is pulled very tightly together. So we're just going to knit those like this, and we just knit through that next hole. Let's stop and take a look at it. Okay, so we have 2 holes. That looks kind of large there. I'm going to see if I can tighten that up a bit. But the holes, as you can see, look very nice. I mean, not perfect, but what's going to happen is these are going to be all bunched together when the pull string is pulled anyway. So they don't have to be the prettiest ever, but certainly they are going to be very functional. So let's just go ahead and we're going to finish this round. I'll do one more for you as we come to the buttonholes. These are a little bit loose. Okay, 1, 2, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just knit the rest of these off the needle and readjust. But let me just show you the next hole as well. Okay, so these actually are going to tighten up a bit once we put a couple more rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and have you knit in the round until we're going to actually knitting the ruffle. I'm going to go ahead and knit 2 inches, approximately 2 inches or 1.5 inches, whatever I feel like I would like for the top part of the drawstring. Okay, so I'm gonna go about 1.5 inches and see how I like it, and I'll show you that. Okay, I have completed knitting in the round till the section above the opening of these holes is approximately 2 inches. So now what we are going to do is we are going to bind off these stitches. And just as a review, if you've not done this before, what we're going to do is we knit a stitch off, and then we pull one of the loops over like this. We're going to do this all the way around. Knit one off, and then bind off the stitch like so. It's a little bit awkward, I admit. But we're going to do this all the way around. And this is going to be the top of the bag. Now, so let's just go ahead and finish that round, and then I'll talk more about the next step after we do that. So go ahead and finish that, binding it off all the way around. Okay, after I've worked the binding off all the way around, I'm just going to cut this last strand and pull it on through, And I am done. Now what I'm gonna do, actually, I'm gonna take this this yarn needle right here, and I'm gonna run this thread down through this other side right here, kind of bring this together, pull it together, make it one, and pull it back like this so it looks kind of like a loop. Actually, I'm going to bring it down. Didn't like the way that looked. So we have this joined. Okay, I was going to give that another try, but I think this is pretty much conjoined the way it's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and run it under a couple more strands, just so this doesn't pop up again. And I'm going to just run it underneath the purple color like this, if you can see what I'm doing. That way it's not going to show very much under the other, contrasting colors, just like that. And I know it's not the best join, but I think this is going to work quite fine for the purposes. That string is hidden. It's not going to be coming out anytime soon. And so this is the top of the bag, and these are the holes we're going to run underneath for the straps and handles. Now down here we have a nice long thread from when we cast on originally. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this bag inside out, okay, with the purl side showing like this. Sorry for all the motion. Okay, and I'm going to just hold the ends together like this across the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my yarn needle again, and just using this simple whip stitch and my yarn needle. Oops, let's go ahead and try this again. This is a very thick piece of yarn to get in here. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and give that a tug. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to line up these stitches ever so carefully, and I'm going to just whip stitch these together. I'm going to go ahead and put a little extra stitch there for the end, which is going to need to be pretty secure. Okay, and let's just whip stitch these stitches together all the way across the bottom of the bag. Okay, full disclosure here. I decided I didn't like using the whip stitch after all. You can continue to do that. Part of it is I didn't have enough yarn left, and I decided that I'm ready to crochet after all that knitting after all. So I'm going to go ahead and join my yarn with the slip stitch, and I am just going to slip stitch away across the bottom of this bag. And I think actually this is going to make it even stronger. And if anybody asked, oh, did you knit that? I say, well, I knit it and I kind of crocheted the bottom too. So let's go ahead and let's just show you just how quickly this goes. Let me make sure I get one stitch per loop there. Okay. Then I'm going to have a nice crocheted slip stitch chain right across the bottom, which is actually going to, fit in quite nicely. Looks very, could go for either a knit or a crochet look. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going in through the two bottom loops here of each of those chains or foundation cast on. Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish this across, and then I'll kind of clue you into the next steps here. Okay, I've completed the slip stitch all the way across right across the bottom of the bag, and I'm just going to now give a little chain and a tug, and actually I'm going to do that just one more time for security purposes, and this is going to be deep inside the bag. Nobody needs to see this. In fact, I'm actually going to show you how to line the bag in a few minutes, and this little knot is not going to be seen by anybody. However, I am going to go ahead and still take the time to hide it underneath the strands here, just the way I did the other. I couldn't find my needle, so I went ahead and found my needle and threaded it. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run it under a couple of these strands like that, just very carefully, and then back up. Then I'm going to go back down again, noticing that I'm just staying under the common color, and then give it a little clip. And we don't need to look at that strand ever again. I've got a couple other strands here that I also need to deal with in a similar manner, and I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, now that those strands are hidden, we can go ahead and turn our bag right side out, and let's take a look at that seam. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, so now we have the bottom seam of our bag is completed, and our backpack bag is all ready now to make the straps. So let's go ahead and make some backpack straps and talk about the line. Okay, now we're getting ready to finish the backpack. I wanted to show you an option that you can do. It's one that I really enjoy that makes these backpacks even more practical. I took some fabric, and I've gone ahead and I've cut and I've sewn. I made it a little wider than the bag, and notice that when I finished off my seams up here, I actually made sure that they would be sewn into the inside of the bag below these pull strings, just like this. Another thing I've done is I've added some pockets. Tried to do a lot of double seaming inside there. So what I'm going to do when I'm completely finished is I'm going to put that inside the bag, and it's going to be stitched to the inside. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take that away. And what we're going to need now for the next step is you're going to need some kind of material for the straps, and I'm going to recommend a couple things. This is some, if I can show you, there you go, some parachute, they call paracord. It was popular a couple years ago, which is 100% nylon cord that can be used. Today I'm going to be using this cotton cord. Let me show you. The manufacturer information is called macrame cotton cord. You don't have to have this exact material. In the recently, I've also used materials such as hemp, which is available at a lot of Michael's craft stores, AC Moore, Joann Fabrics, and even, believe it or not, in Walmart in the beading section. But I usually use the really thick material for doing that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you how to make these cords. Okay, to make these cords, you're going to need a few tools. You're going to definitely need a pair of scissors, and you're going to need a large crochet hook. It doesn't have to be the exact size I'm using. For the record, though, I am using a size N, or 15 or 10.00 millimeter crochet hook. The hook size doesn't really matter because the type of material you're using for their straps may vary a bit. You're definitely going to need a way to measure the straps once we make them. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Again, make sure you leave at least 12 to 14 inches on the end so that we can add beads, should we desire beads or something decorative on the end there. And so we make our little slip knot, and all we're going to do for these is we are going to make one long chain that's approximately 60 inches long. This isn't the most fun part of this project, but it's fairly easy. It's a little tough though, working with some of this material. But so go ahead and do this until you have a 60-inch strap. And yes, it's very important that you don't guess at this, that you get an exact 60 inches on this. After measuring, I get this to be 60 inches, as close as I possibly can. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut the string, again, leaving approximately 12 to 14 inches at the end. Again, because once you cut it, it's hard to make it longer, but it's a lot easier just to make it shorter. I'm going to go ahead and pull that through, and I'm going to pull it tight, just like that. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do, if I want to make this into a backpack, which I do, I'm going to make another one the exact same length of this. And it's very important when you measure these and you're holding them in your hand together that you're pulling them at the same, the same tension to get them the exact length. So go ahead and make another one of these 60 inches long. Now as I'm measuring these together, I'm holding them exactly together, same tension on both. And I want to make sure that these are going to be the same because the backpacks need to be, equal in length. Okay, so far so good. Okay, and I'm coming up on the end here. Okay, let's see where I am. Okay, so that's just about right. So I'm gonna cut a piece approximately 12 to 14 inches longer. That looks about right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull this on through and give it a nice good tug. So now I have my two straps and I'm ready to go. Okay, now this is where it gets kind of fun. I'm going to take the backpack right side up, and in the first hole I'm going to go in. It's kind of like in and out the window, and then we're going to come out, and let's go ahead and pull some of that through. I'm going to pull about most of it through. I'm going to leave about a foot or two here. Okay, and then we're going to go in the next hole, and then we're going to come out the next hole. Okay, now we're going to go around to the other side. We're going to go in the next hole, or these little buttonholes that we knit, and come out this one. Go ahead and pull the rest of that through, and then in, and then out the last hole. Okay. Okay, like that. Okay. Now we're going to take the other strand right here, and we're gonna go in and out, but we're gonna start on this, actually we're gonna start opposite side. We're gonna start over here on this side. Okay, so we can see here are the other two. Let me pull back a little bit. Okay, so here are these on this side. We're going to go into the opposite side. We're going to go into the same hole in here. We're going to come out this side and go ahead and pull a bit through. Okay, and then we're going to go in this one. I'm going to come out on this side. So now we're on the opposite side. Okay, now we're going to take this. We're coming around. This is on the flip side. We're going to go in and come out, and go ahead and pull that through. And we're just about done here with this part. Go in and come out. Okay, so now we're done weaving these around. So what should happen is when you pull on both sides, it should pull shut, a pull string, okay, like this. Let's bring the camera up a bit. Sorry for all the motion there. Okay, so that's what the purpose of these straps being woven in this way. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this other side. Go ahead and bring the strings down here, and you're going to want to tie these together, these two ends, into a knot, just like this. Okay, and pull it really tight. Okay, now we're going to need our crochet hook again. This is the big one. Now this is kind of important because what we're going to do is we're going to pull these through a hole down here, and you need to decide, I guess right now, which side of this you like the best, which side you want to be the inside, which side you want to be the outside. I think I want this to be the outside, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this. I'm going to have it go in this side and come out the back side. Okay, in order to do that, make sure you go in at least, let me see, at least a ½ inch. Okay, you want to be a ½ inch in each way, so this does not pull out. Okay, so I'm going to go in more like 3/4. I put the hook in there, and I'm going to try to pull these through. Just like that. Yay. That's what I was hoping that would work. Okay, now we could try tying a knot here, but I suspect that that's gonna pull through in time, so I'm going to have you tie another knot around the bottom of the bag. Okay, like this. And maybe even another. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and leave that there. If you wanted to just go ahead and try making a big knot and thinking it wouldn't slip through, you could try that, but I think this is going to be much more secure. And if you're carrying a backpack and using it like a purse, you definitely want it to be secure. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the other side the same way. Go ahead and hold these even and make a knot. Okay, and we're going to pull. Go ahead and push this through. Actually, I'm going to do that again. You want it to come up on that side like this. You can see I need to hide that thread a little bit better before I totally complete the project. And pull that through like that. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and double knot this again. You can see our strings are getting a little bit shorter. This is why I like to have a pretty long one. Okay. So we can always revisit that knot later if I don't like the way it looks. Okay, so our backpack is getting ready. So see, you can open this up, and it's going to have a nice lining with pockets inside once I finish doing that. And let's do one more thing and get our beads. Okay, now we're ready to load some beads on here. Now sometimes this can be kind of hard to put beads on the ends, so sometimes you can maybe put some tape on the end to just try to keep it from fraying. There are many different beads out there on the market. The main thing that you need to keep in mind is, and this is obvious, but is that the hole in the middle is large enough for the cord that you are using you know, to go through the bead. That's kind of important. Okay, so I mean, I have some other beads here that I could try. Once you put that tape on the end, it really does help make it easy. Okay, so go ahead and pick out some beads, and you can string them on. I'm going to show you. I'm going to try to do a different combination here of mixture of the light and the dark to get some good contrast going. That might be nice. And then a dark bead. And I have some of these beads that I took off of a necklace that I bought many years ago while traveling. I thought I'd put a couple of those on there to give it a little interest. And another bead. Okay, so let's see, how many do I have there? Okay. It's just kind of fun to put these together. Now let's say I'm gonna just stick with that, and I'm gonna go ahead and tie a knot right there. It's okay if they slide down a little bit. Okay, so I've got the first strand done. It really does add a lot to this bag. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the others the same way, and then I'll show you what I have. Okay, now that I've finished putting the beads on both sides, and I did make them match, but you don't have to make them match. They can be, you know, asymmetrical and all kinds of different combinations. This is just what I decided to do for this one. Okay, once I'm pretty sure that that's what I want to do, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim these. I'm going to leave about an inch. Okay, so I leave it looking like this. You don't have to cut them exactly the same. Okay, so we're all done with the beading. I want to show you the last thing I need to do is to sew this to the inside of the bag. And you just want to be careful that you sew it. What you can do is follow the seam or a seam that you have. I recommend that you go at least an inch below where the straps come together. And then once you do that, you can have a nice little bag. Well, this concludes our tutorial. Should you have any comments or questions, you can always reach me right here on my YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any more of the new projects coming your way. God bless. Bye-bye.